Hello, dear listeners, and welcome back to my cozy little corner of the internet. In the previous episode, Jasper searched for Eric after he didn't return, and he barged into Mel's house for answers. In today's episode, we will continue with this tense story. So, grab your favourite beverage, sit back, relax, and I shall begin. Chapter 3 Necessary Evil. Mel's eyes grew wide again, but it was more out of confusion than surprise this time. What do you mean? Doesn't he hang around with you? Don't play innocent with me, Jasper snapped at her as he started to pace around the living room. You tried to kidnap him and me by playing that song. But then we followed your plan and you gave up way too easily. Now he's gone and I can't find him. You had another plan up your sleeve. Mel shook her head vehemently. Okay, slow down there. You're talking way too fast. Just take a breath and speak calmly, she told him politely but firmly. She was annoyed by his rudeness, but at the same time she could tell he was stressed, so she wasn't going to give him too hard a time. However, that didn't mean that she was just going to stand there and take his verbal vitriol. Just tell me where he is so I can go and find him, Jasper continued to yell. He wasn't about to take advice from a traitor. For all he knew, this was just her stalling so that he wouldn't be able to find Eric soon. The confusion was back on Mel's face, but it quickly turned to anger. I don't know where he is. I haven't seen him or you since that night, she snapped back. It was bad enough that there were rumours going around about her. Her parents didn't even know what she was doing, and she wanted to keep it that way. She told them that she wasn't well and wanted to stay home for a while, which they had told the school. But that didn't stop the gossip. It had gotten back to her thanks to her friends and from the school paper. She was already on edge about that, and now Jasper was standing in her living room yelling at her. I get that you're mad at me, and I'm sorry for what I did to you two, but shouting at me in my own home isn't going to help. Jasper blinked at her, raising her voice at him. He had opened his mouth to talk, but for the first time since arriving, he didn't know what to say. On the one hand, he had every right to be angry at her, but on the other hand, he did burst into her home and ranted at her. He felt so conflicted at that moment. Right now, he just wanted to find Eric. He sat down on the sofa and just buried his head in his hands. Nell's eyes softened and she sat down next to him. She wanted to reach out to comfort him, but had decided against it. Look, it's entirely possible that she isn't done yet. Jasper raised his head up and turned to look at her. You mean the woman you were pretending to be? He asked as she nodded. How did you even do that? That is a secret I'm not willing to share with you yet, she answered quickly. She did have her ways, of course, but she wasn't about to reveal that to Jasper, especially since things were awkward between them. She has plans for him. Now, I don't know what those plans are, but she isn't the type to just give in either. So you're saying that she sent someone else to take him? Jasper sighed and stood up again. There's a good chance that they took him off the island. Mel nodded and stood up as well. She was glad that Jasper had calmed down, at least a little. They'll take him to the mainland. After that, who knows? Wait, you don't know where they would take him? Jasper asked clearly, surprised at the fact that Mel had no idea. My job was to bring him to the mainland, Mel responded, her expression blank. She was hoping that now Jasper had something that he would be on his way. After that, I had no clue, and to be honest, I didn't want to know. Jasper nodded and took a breath. Well, thanks for the information. It wasn't a lot, but it's a start. You're going after him, aren't you? She asked him. Despite what happened between them, her concern for him was genuine, even if he wasn't willing to believe it. Jasper turned to look at her as if she'd just asked a stupid question. Of course! He's my friend. I'm not going to abandon him in his time of need. Mel contemplated his answer, and she understood. In fact, she respected it, even if she thought that it might not go well. She simply nodded, and he turned around and started to walk towards the front door. Hey, Jasper? She called out to him as she followed. He stopped and turned to face her. Do you think that we'll ever go back to being friends? Jasper sighed. A part of him wanted to be friends with her again, but right now things were still raw for him. Despite everything, he owed it to her and himself to be honest. I'm not sure, he admitted. He didn't sound angry, though. He did sound sad about the whole situation. We'll just have to see. Mel nodded, but it hurt her that she had hurt him, and that she wanted to do what she could to make it up to him. It would take a while, and she accepted that. That's fair, she responded with a small smile. I hope you're able to find him and bring him home. I mean that, from the bottom of my heart. I know you do, Mel, he whispered as he turned around. I'm sorry for yelling at you. With that, he opened the front door and walked out, leaving Mel alone again once more. Apology accepted, she whispered as she looked at the door where Jasper was standing a few seconds before. Jasper ran all the way home as fast as he could. When he arrived, he dashed up the stairs just as his mother had peered out of the living room to greet him. He ran into his room and reached under his bed, pulling out a suitcase. He opened his closet and used a levitation spell on as many clothes as possible and floated them into the suitcase. He looked around for anything else he might need. He looked at his potions cabinet and opened it. He grabbed a few potions, figuring that they may come in handy. His eyes then fell on his spellbook sitting on his desk. He picked it up and ran a finger along the cover. He didn't know what he would be dealing with, so he needed his spellbook. He wrapped it up and placed it on top of his clothes and closed the suitcase as there was a knock on the door. Enter! Jasper called out as the door opened and his mother stepped into the room. I heard a lot of banging up here, she spoke as she looked around the room at all the open doors. Summer cleaning. Jasper quit, but his mother wasn't convinced. You also ran into the house and up the stairs like a bat out of hell, she pointed out as she saw the suitcase on the bed. What's going on? Why are you packing a suitcase? Jasper sighed. He couldn't hide it from his mother. Eric is missing, and I don't believe that he left of his own free will, he explained as his mother listened without a word. He was grateful for that, especially since it seemed like his mother was getting used to the strange things he was getting caught up in. So I'm going to find him. By yourself? Is that really such a good idea? She questioned as she placed both her hands on her son's shoulders, deeply concerned. You've been through so much already. You deserve a break. I know, Mom, but Eric is my friend. I can't abandon him when he needs me. I already did that once, he responded, not taking his eyes off her. He knew that she would have concerns, but this was something he needed to do. I know that Eric wouldn't abandon me. That's not the point. You're still young, and you shouldn't be going out there by yourself. She bit her bottom lip. How could she convince him it was a bad idea to go alone? I'm going with you. No, Mom, Jasper yelled as he pushed himself away from her. This is my problem, not yours. I don't need you fighting all my battles for me. It's a dangerous world out there, and I can help you navigate it. His mother continued to reason with him. Admittedly, she was hurt that he was pushing her away. He was still her little boy, and she wanted to help him. He just stared defiantly at her, and she simply sighed. I really can't convince you, can I? Jasper shook his head. I'm sorry, Mom. I need to get going, or I'll miss the ferry. He grabbed his suitcase and started to walk to the door when his mother reached out and grabbed his arm. Hold on, she spoke to him as he turned around. He was about to ask her what she was doing, but she held her hand up to silence him before taking her phone out and dialing a number. Hi, Dan, how are you doing? She spoke as she started to pace around the room, listening to what was being said on the other side of the phone. I'm doing fine. Listen, I have a favor to ask of you, she requested as she explained the situation. She paused and listened before smiling. Have him meet you at Dock 6? Thanks, Dan. I'll return the favor to you. Take care. She hung up on the phone and looked over at Jasper, smiling at him. He smiled back at her, having heard the conversation. Thanks, Mom. You really are the greatest, he told her as he pulled her into a hug. Just make sure you come back in one piece, okay? She requested as he gave her a nod. Do you need any money? Jasper shook his head. I'm good, he answered as he opened his bedroom door. I better go. Love you, Mom. I love you too, she said back as she watched him leave. Once he left the room, she silently prayed for a safe journey and his safe return. Jasper stepped off the tram when it stopped at the docks. He looked around, and most of the docks were empty. He walked along each one, remembering his mum saying that her friend would wait for him at Dock 6 and to ask for Dan. Jasper looked at the numbers that were on each dock and followed them until he reached Dock 6. He saw a decent-sized boat. It was big enough to be comfortable, but not too big to be intimidating. He heard gruff singing and saw someone on the deck of the boat mopping. He was about to step closer and call out, but stopped when he heard footsteps. He quickly turned and saw Mel approaching him. His look of surprise turned into one of annoyance. "What are you doing here?" he demanded as he folded his arms, refusing to take his eyes off her. "I came to help," she answered softly as she carefully approached, pulling a suitcase of her own. "I can't just stand by and do nothing, and I couldn't let you go alone." "Well, I don't need your help. I don't trust you, so you can just turn around and walk away," Jasper commanded her, but Mel didn't back down. Not this time. "Okay, you go to the mainland. Then what?" she questioned, her eyes staring intently into his. "How do you intend on finding him? How do you intend on bringing him home?" "I could use magic to track him and work out the rest as I go," he answered quickly, turning around so he could get on the boat. Mel simply shook her head. "You never were one for planning. Look, we'll have more of a chance of finding Eric if we work together," Mel reasoned as she moved to get in front of Jasper, blocking his path. "I know you don't trust me right now, but I really do want to help." She was sincere in her voice and her gaze, but Jasper was still unsure. "If it will make you feel any better, you can use the spell on me to stop me from going against you." Jasper just shook his head in disgust at her suggestion. "Okay, first of all, that would be inhumane, and I can believe you even suggested that to me," Jasper retorted with a slight scowl. "Second, I don't know how to cast that kind of spell anyway." He then sighed as she was still looking at him. "All right, you can come. But if you betray me or Eric like that again, you can kiss any chance of saving our friendship goodbye. Got it?" Mel nodded in agreement. "Got it." She repeated his word back to him. "Is this all right?" she asked as she looked at the boat. Jasper and Mel approached the boat as the singing stopped, and a grizzled-looking man with salt and pepper hair and chewing on a toothpick looked down at them. "Can I help you folks?" he called down to them. Jasper nodded. "Yeah. Are you Dan?" he asked the man as he nodded. "Aye, that's me. And you must be Jasper, right?" Jasper blinked at him for a second as the man laughed heartily. "No need to introduce yourself. Your ma already explained it," Dan stated as he smiled at Jasper. Then he turned his attention to Mel. "She didn't say anything about you, though." "She's helping me," Jasper spoke up, though he was hesitant to call her a friend. Mel gave Jasper a hurt look, but didn't say anything about it. He wasn't wrong after all. "You don't mind the extra passenger, do you?" "Normally I would, at such short notice," Dan stated as he spat out the toothpick. "But your ma's a nice lady, and she said to do whatever I could to help, so I don't mind the extra passenger this time." He walked down the gangway and onto the deck. "Well, let's get you on board. I want to set sail before sundown," he told them as he went to grab their suitcases and slung them over his shoulders. "That's really not necessary," Jasper politely told him. "Boy, you and that gal there are guests on my boat." Dan spoke up as he gave Jasper the side eye. "Just let me do the gentlemanly thing, and you shut up and enjoy the ride." Dan walked back up the gangway and went to put their luggage inside. Jasper and Mel followed him. Once they were on board, Dan kicked the gangway away and went to pull up the anchor before going to the wheelhouse. "You two make yourselves comfortable. It's going to be a few hours before we get to the mainland. Feel free to look out at the ocean." Jasper decided to stay at the center of the boat. He didn't feel comfortable getting close to the water, even if he was on a boat. He watched as Mel walked over to the railing and looked out at the ocean, as Dan steered the boat out of the dock, and soon they were away. "Hang on, Eric. We're coming." That is the end of today's episode. Jasper and Mel have entered a rather tense truce, but it was necessary to find Eric. Will they be able to work together long enough to find Eric? Or will Mel's previous betrayal jeopardize that? If Eric is no longer on the island, where was he taken to? Tune in to the next episode to find out.